Question: how does a big pie stack make an explosion that's so small? Ah well. Welcome to Mines and Grenades. What's up everybody, this is Storm from Storm and Blackbird, and these are the Mines and Grenades on Bigass. We've got no time to slap our schlongs, so let's get right into it. One of Bungie's elements on the magic triangle, which if you don't know is weapon, grenades and melee. Grenades have been there on every Halo game. On Bigass it'll take up your up left corner of your HUD. Once equipped, you can throw out your grenade at any time by pressing the grenade button, which by default is the right mouse click. And since it takes up the right mouse click, it has a very high availability, considering no game type dismisses it. Speaking of which, you will always spawn with 2 grenades, and can only replenish them if you either go to a corpse and find a grenade or 2 that haven't been used yet, or go to a normal capsule or a random capsule, where each have 1 grenade in their disposal for the taking.
To be or not to be? Not to be.
Once you pull the grenade button, there's only one way for it to explode. After the first bounce, it'll take 1.5 seconds for it to go. For me, I always tend to keep my grenade throwing at the minimum, because the movement is overall sluggish and it requires me to lower my gun, even if for a split second. Well, actually the throwing time takes exactly 1 second. That's the time before you're ready to pull out your gun again and punch the fuck out of your trigger and hope that he goes into one direction away from the grenade to increase my chances of survival. If that doesn't work, then my grenade will eventually kill him, if not damage him even more.
Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of their women.
The grenades have a gravity scale of just 1. And I'll explain what that is once we get into the mines gravity scale. Just keep in mind that wherever direction you're throwing the grenades out of, it'll just be influenced by gravity and will eventually drop off. Pretty simple, right?
Now this is the plan. Get your ass to Mars.
Now let's get into the good part. The grenades have a maximum damage of 120 and a minimum damage of just 80. This means that at its core of its blast radius, it'll do 120 damage and will do 80 damage at the very end of it. Its blast radius comes in at 7.4 to a 571428571 meters. Just bear with me, you don't want to know how I got that number out, just believe me on it. And its most lethal range, where 120 damage occurs, is in 4.45714285743 meters. Again, just trust me on that number. If you're unsure about the metric system, here's a demonstration on how this blast radius works. So with whatever crazy number I came up with, 7.4 meters is where the edge is at, and it'll cause just 80 damage, causing your shields to pop out. Because of this, it could have a potential to be a borderline portable EMP. Well, kinda. I wouldn't want to imagine if Bigass ever had overshield in here. The grenades also have what's called damage multipliers. This will make sure that the grenade does a different damage on different things. The multipliers goes as follows: 1.0 to the shields, 1.0 to the health, and also 1.0 to the head, which means no headshot bonus. 3.0 on both the truck and the Scorpion, and 1.0 on the Falcon. Now this does not mean that if you're sitting in a Scorpion in a truck, that you get 3 times the amount of damage of a grenade. You yourself will not get that amount of damage. The vehicles themselves will, because they are destructible. The truck's health is 850, amplifying the damage of the grenade's full power by 3 makes it so that you just need 3 grenades to destroy the truck. The surprising factor here is that since the Scorpion's health is 675, you'll just need 2 grenades to blow up that sucker.
May I see your invitation, please?
Sure. Here's my invitation.
The Falcon's health is 500, which means with the multiplier 1.0 you'll need at least 5 grenades to destroy that thing. I guess if you want to fight against that thing with a grenade, and well, it just wouldn't leave that much.
Stop being such a pussy! Fucking shot me! Just a scratch!
There's one last thing I want to tell you guys. Every explosive on this game causes the so-called Juggerweight effect. I don't want to go into really deep details, but if you've ever screamed in front of your monitor because a guy you've grenaded started halo jumping and ended up killing you, yeah, there's your culprit. If the enemy threw a grenade at you or gave you any type of explosion, thanks to the Juggerweight effect, the odds are you're gonna lag on his screens and actually avoid bullets. To avoid that, just simply damage him before nading him, or use a fully automatic weapon. That'll work as well. Up next we have the mines. These are the strangest things I had to figure out on Bigass. If you were like me and looked at some screenshots on Bigass before playing it and thought, oh, okay, this looks promising. But when I got my first kill, what is that thing? What the hell was this flat thing dropping out of thin air? It wasn't in the character model. Where did it come from? Was it wedged up his ass? It looked like the character dropped a gigantic pancake deuce before he died. The first thing I was thinking of, well...
Gas begins to build up, forcing any non-digestibles like feces out of the body.
Thankfully, these are mines. Or trip mines. You know, the one from Halo 3. Anyone remember them? Anyone remember that game? Well, I guess we never forget. To start off, the mines have a similar situation to their older brother, the grenades. The mines can be pulled out at any time by pressing the right mouse click, by default making its availability very high. You spawn with one mine each spawn, and you will always replenish it from corpses, normal capsules, and random capsules. Pretty much the same situation, right?
Wrong.
Because this thing functions very different. You cannot use these as spare grenades at all. You're gonna use them very differently. Because it is very difficult to use. It is very tactical to use. This is the adult version of all the explosives you can find on Bigass.
This is like taking candy from a baby, which is fine by me.
Unlike the grenades, they don't explode after the first bounce or so. They will stay put on the ground stationary and will activate 0.3 seconds when at rest. When I mean at rest, I mean it'll stop moving after you throw it out. Keep in mind that it'll react differently on the surfaces you put them on. It'll stay put on dirt and ground almost immediately. On any other harder surfaces, it'll bounce off and it'll take some time before it activates. Fun fact, these grids also do the same effect as the dirt and ground, as well as these vents, and even the capsules themselves. But it doesn't stop there. On glass, it'll disappear. Somehow, someway this happens and, well, it'll go into nothingness. Don't ask me where the mines go afterwards. The only exception I could find to this is the Mongoose's glass. This thing just stays put. Literally. Oh, and speaking of which, on vehicles, mines react the same way as harder surfaces. This could mean evil fun if you're able to hide them very efficiently.
You've just been erased.
The mines have a gravity scale of 4. From the continuation of the grenade's gravity scale, which is 1, you can also say that the mines are 4 times heavier than the grenades. Otherwise, in whatever direction you're gonna throw your grenades at, keep in mind that they'll be 4 times further than the mines. The mines are very heavy, therefore they will drop off very quickly and very near you.
there such thing as low explosive?
As you can see, these mines are clearly no spare grenades. And here's also why. The maximum damage output is 330, its minimum being 80. You get what I'm saying here? Because we get to see, at its core, a damage output of 330 damage and at the edge just 80. Now, the maximum blast radius is the same as the grenades, but its effective radius, where 330 damage occurs, happens in 2.9, 714, so okay, just 2.9 meters. With a normal damage output of 330, you should have noticed by now that this mine is one of the strongest weapons on Bigass.
4 pounds of C4 may be a little excessive.
If one of your mines affects you, don't worry, you and your allies will just receive an EMP charge, or something of that matter. In any case, your shields will pop out, keeping you from betraying others.
See you at the party, Richter!
The damage multipliers are pretty straightforward. 1.0 on the shields, 1.0 on the health, and 1.0 on the head, which means no headshot bonus. On the trucks and scorpions, however, it has a damage multiplier of 0.7, and on the falcon it has a damage multiplier of 1.0. Though in general the enemy will tend to avoid these mines, but if they're confronted with one, they will always question themselves if it's one of theirs, their allies, or yours. This will leave them in a stingy situation and you can actually knock them down pretty easily. These mines will help you fight your enemies both physically and mentally. But how does this physical part work? Or in translation, how do they blow up?
Drop the gun! Yeah, that's right, drop the gun! Hey, I'm a police officer. This is an arrest. Freeze!
Jeez.
I'm a cop, you idiot! I'm Detective John Kimball. This man is under arrest.
There are 3 ways to make it detonate. First, another explosion makes it detonate. Second, you have to drive over it to detonate it. Or third, you can shoot on it. Shooting on mines is pretty fun and evil. If you can guess if the enemy is coming your way, drop a mine right there or somewhere where it's out of sight to the enemy, shoot the damn thing, and he'll die in one hit.
No sequel for you.
These mines hold great tactical promise. Just put them in front of your base and it'll protect you from incoming enemy vehicles. Or put them on objective points and nab the guy who's gonna steal them. Although that requires you to camp, and that'll automatically turn you into a whore.
Sweetheart, we're married.
Consider that a divorce.
On practical terms, the grenades are really good at handling foes directly. Meanwhile, the mines do their job in the long run really good. If you see an enemy incoming vehicle, well, it's kind of a hit and miss on whether the grenade or the mine does this job better at fending him off. Grenades are really good at fending him off because he will use curves and you can use the grenades to trap him. Meanwhile, the mines, if you can get past the 0.3 activation time, it will be really useful. It's only a problem if the enemy vehicle is coming towards you really fast. A good tactic here is to actually plant a mine under your foot or behind you. That way he won't see the mine incoming and he will kill himself after he kills you. Unless you can avoid that as well. If you've ever followed any of my 3 million Bigass videos, then you should know that my CTF tactic is to get the flag, but before doing that I will place 2 mines on both the enemy's warthogs if they are there. If I only have 1 mine, definitely put it under the Gauss hog. I don't know why, but people will never check if the flag is away. That way they'll just immediately go into the warthog without thinking. Therefore they will get killed by the mine I planted under it. It is a great tactic to get away from the enemies. Just have to take care of the falcon or whatnot and then you're through. Whew, that was a long video, isn't it? Anyways, I thank you for watching, and I hope you join me next time where I'll be showing you the big-ass weapon results. Until then, see ya!
'Cause I'm TNT, I'm dynamite.